Hello everyone, very good evening to all of you. Welcome to BYJU'S Exam Prep. My name is Savitri Krishnamurthy. I teach English, Logic and Essay Writing at BYJU'S. Today we're going to look at WAT, your Writing Ability Test, which all of you have been asking for a long time, right? All right, all of you can see me and hear me clearly? All of you, am I visible, audible? Because your names are very small. Good evening, Moksh. Good evening, Sankirtana. Good evening, Anusha, is it? Yeah. Ready to start? All of you, many of you with calls must be all ready for the second session, for the second round. And it's easy at the same time. Remember, the level of competition, good evening Varun, is higher, so all of you have to be well prepared. Having said that, I know you are well prepared. For the last few days before your interviews, you must read the newspapers thoroughly, right? One thing about essays is how well you can present your ideas, and presentation of ideas comes with the confidence that you have the content, you have the ideas in the first place, right? So what I will do is I will take you through the WAT session. If you have questions, put it in the chat box. I will answer them. At the end, again, I will take all your questions. All right, feel free to ask me questions on any doubt that you have on essay writing. Let me first take you through the basics, right? So your essay writing ability is tested in two ways. How do you write the essay? And some institutes ask you to write a summary. All right, most IIMs allow you 20 minutes, so take it as 20 to 25 minutes for your essay writing, right? Clear? When you are practicing at home, practice for 18 or 20 minutes, because under stress conditions, time flies. When I was typing in the essay for that, of course, I'm not very fast at typing, but still, there was so much more that I wanted to write, so much more that I wanted to type. What did it matter who's going to read it? But still, all right. Most of the essays asked in WAT are discursive essays. What's the meaning of a discursive essay? You are expected to discuss a particular issue, problem or solution. That is what the question asks you. All right, hello everyone, good evening. All those who've joined, your names are in such small font, as I keep telling you, I can only see AM out of Amrit, so I assume it's Amrit, right? Satyabrata, yes, I got that name. So I have to lean forward, so let me not do that. All right, what are they looking for? First thing, let's look at what are they looking for, and then we'll give them what they are looking for, right? I put things on the menu and then you choose what items you want. So what is an IIM question setter who wants you to write an essay for 15, 18, 20 minutes, want you to do? 4 areas, 4 points you need to remember. When a topic is given to you, they want to see if your essay is relevant to the topic. Have you understood the topic, and are you answering the question asked in the topic? Every topic, whether it's in the form of a statement or a question, poses a question. So you should answer that question and to the point. Next, have you expressed it in clear enough language? So language comes into play. All right, many students get a little worried about will it be on the paper or on the system? The interviews are being held in the centers itself, right? So then it will be on a paper. When you were called to the interview center, generally one of those big hotels kind of setups, they would give you one side of a ruled A1 sheet, if I remember right, with the question on it. Yeah. Why don't you have a CAT 2025 course? Let's just talk about essays now. All right. Okay. I'm sure we'll come up with it. All right. So language is important, and the point about language is the clarity of the language, not that they expect flowery writing style, or they expect some kind of literature to be produced on that piece of paper. It should be clear what are the points you want to make. Obviously, how much do you know about certain current events and current social issues. All right. Essays are generally on current affairs topics or on social issues. ये WAT कोर्स एनरोल कैसे करें? एनरोलमेंट नहीं है, ये तो फ्री है, इसमें एनरोलमेंट नहीं है. आप इसको सुनिए, आप एसेज लिखिए बेस्ड ऑन वॉट एवर टॉपिक्स वी आर गिविंग. ऑल राइट. Just remember 15-20 minutes में what can you really write. So keep in mind that you have to express your thoughts on a topic clearly and properly and logically. That is the key. All right. What else can you do in 20 minutes? So you have to look at how best to express my thoughts on an issue in 20 minutes. All right, Swati, कोशिश कर रही हूँ. My Hindi is not very good, but I will keep speaking a little bit in Hindi. All right. Okay. We are now going through the theory part of the essays very, very quickly. When you write an essay, all the theory goes out of the window. You just start writing. But there is a little bit of planning involved. And if you plan that bit properly, if you do the pre-planning part of the essay properly, in 1 or 2 minutes, your essay shapes up better. All right. So what should you keep in mind? Generally, remember, they want your essay to be clear. So I would expect 3 or 4 paragraphs maximum. All right. In that part, remember, the first part is to introduce the topic that has been given to you. So how do you do that? Read the topic and say it in 3, 4, 5 ways so that you understand exactly what is the topic asking. All right. Can business and ethics go together? Can businesses be ethical and profitable at the same time? If they ask this, think about it. What is the topic asking me? Business and ethics are on opposite sides, or businesses can be ethical, can follow rules and do the right thing? Yes, they can. If I want to say, how will I write that? So remember, do not cut paste the topic when you write. This topic is asking, that's rubbish, because topic has anyway been printed on the paper. So when you introduce the topic, give an idea of the topic, restate the topic in your own words. If you can, give your stand on it, or the purpose of your essay, or your initial thoughts on it. All right. Suppose the topic says, I will discuss this today, that 2023, many experts are saying that there's going to be a recession. Okay, and a recession is inevitable in 2023. That is what many economists are saying. So you can give your idea of the topic in different ways. What are the ways you can do it? Are you going to define recession and then go about saying, yes, it is going to be and why? Or are you going to just start saying yes or no and go about it? How will you go about it? Think. Are you going to give some statistics? If you have some numbers at your fingertips, are you going to use that? Those are the things you should do. So the first thing, the moment you get the topic, break the topic, okay, into important words. What are the points? Recession inevitable. We cannot escape a recession in 2023. This is the topic. How do I say? Let me first explain what is recession and then say, yes, it is inevitable. Is it inevitable for all countries or only for a few countries? And then I'll give my conclusion. This is how you think about the initial part. That's the planning part of the essay. Then you'll say, okay, these are the points I have. What are the examples I can give? What are the statistics I can give? Keeping that in mind, you will put your initial thoughts in an introduction. That introduction can directly speak about the topic. It might ask, why is the topic relevant? Why is recession a relevant topic now? Why am I giving this topic? We're going to discuss it today. Why? Because the World Bank has given a report where it is saying that there's going to be a global recession. Alright, so you can say that the World Bank report has come out, a recent report released by the World Bank, published by the World Bank, the countries, we are headed towards a global recession. This is what the World Bank said, therefore this is it. But I do not agree. Some experts say this. Clear? So the introduction is the first part of your essay. The essay should have 2 to 3 paragraphs as the body of the essay. Now, any student who has done any kind of writing, you would know that your teachers would tell you the 3 W's and the 1 H. If you know nothing about the topic also, answer the question what, why, how, and what if. Most of your answers will be the points of your essays. Alright, but remember, just a point is an opinion. An opinion does not carry much weight unless it is backed up by examples, statistics, or data. So, if the more you read, you will have examples at your fingertips, you will have data at your fingertips. If you know nothing about the topic, many students, their first question is, what if I know nothing about the topic? Agar kuch bhi malum nahi hai, to you have to write opinions only. There is nothing else you can do. But keep reading, because there are certain topics, we'll talk about the expected topics. There are certain topics which are evergreen. There are certain topics that you will be asked as part of your WAT or part of your interview, because the CAT interviews are scheduled around Feb and March. And Feb and March mein kya hota hai? Right at the beginning of Feb, you have the budget. So before that, if you have your interviews, they'll ask you, what do you think this budget is going to be like? After the budget, they'll ask you what were the main points of the budget. Budget is one thing which is part of either the interview or the essay every year. A general topic on the budget or a specific topic on the budget. Either essay or interview. Second things, what are the important issues that have been happening now? Because remember, the CAT question setters, their essay topics, they just give it to groups, right? 10 at a time or whatever in each slot, how many people they have called. Therefore, they have to have a lot of topics, unlike ZAT, which can give you 1 or 2 out, or choose 1 out of 2 or choose 1 out of 3 topics. Therefore, the current issues are very important. Misbehavior of passengers on airlines would be one, right? Second, do you think that the person who misbehaved when he was in a drunk stupor, do you think he has been, some people are saying he has faced double punishment. एक तो कंपनी ने हटा दिया, दूसरा ऐसा हुआ, he has been facing double. Is that really correct? But isn't what he did, is it acceptable? Or some people are saying the punishment is too light. What is your opinion? Anything that is current will be asked. Should India host the Olympic Games? Because that's one topic right now. India-China relations, disasters of development. What is happening in all the hilly areas because of rapid construction? There are cracks appearing in houses. Hilly regions are under great threat because of human activity. So what is the solution to this? How do you go about it? Then just now in Bangalore, couple of days back, there was a metro pillar which collapsed and a young mother and her child died in it. Who is responsible for it? Oh, they'll say, oh, 15 lakhs compensation, 20 lakhs compensation, 50 lakhs compensation. Is money a compensation for a child who loses his mother, for a parent who loses a child? Why? How can you have a country where metro pillars just collapse like that? The person who's responsible for it, the contractor, the person who's put more sand than cement or whatever, he gets away scot-free. Why is this happening? So some topic related to our we become very callous. Moksha, are the interviews being conducted online? If the interviews are being conducted online, WAT will be online. But if the interviews are being conducted in the centers, they've called you all to a particular place, then this thing will also be held there. So since it wasn't during COVID, it was a different thing. I think therefore it will not be online. I don't think so. All right. So remember, in your introduction is your first paragraph. Give 2 or 3 paragraphs maximum for the body. You can't write more than that. If you have lot of points, sum it up into one passage, and just keep in mind to give a proper conclusion and summarize your entire argument when you give the end. These are the parts of the essay. The next big thing students ask is, how should I write? I have not written for a long time. Paragraphs have to be equal in size as far as possible. Not possible for intro and conclusion. Make your intro and conclusion 3-4 sentences. Paragraphs 2 and 3 can be longer. Each paragraph should have only one theme. That is, if the first paragraph is an introduction, it should be clear to me that you are telling me your views on the topic and what I can expect. Paragraph 2 is talking about, yes, I agree with the topic. This is the reason for it. Another reason I agree with the topic is we are going into a recession, and I'll say we are going into a recession. Here is how I believe that the whole world is going into a recession. So paragraph 2 will be agree. Paragraph 3 will be agree with examples. 1 para, 1 thought, 1 para, 1 thought. So I know your entire argument is based on one side of the story where you say, yes, we are going into a recession. And then you conclude. At most, we can mitigate the effects of the recession. Every country is going to face recession. Some will face it in a milder form and some in a greater form. What is 23 or 22? Okay. This is for this year. Yeah. Got it? So remember, the best way to build your paragraph is to follow the PREP formula. All essay writing books use this formula. Give your point, okay? I believe that the world is facing a recession in 2023. Not all countries will face it equally. Reason, some countries are better off because of the way their job market has been functioning, because of the energy utilization in the country. For example, US job market is doing well, so US is going to face a milder recession, if at all. It's not going to face a recession. Therefore, there is going to be a recession, but not a universal global recession as people think. 1 point and 1 paragraph done. All right. What, why, how, and what if? Generally, we tell you to build your ideas. Okay, you can build it up in other ways too. Okay, but some of the things we tell you is, what is recession? Why is the topic important? How is recession going to happen? How are we going to avert recession? What if? What are the ways to mitigate recession? 2, you will be given 20 minutes, Prerna. How much can you write in 20 minutes? 250 words maximum. 300 maximum if you really write really fast. 250 से 300 से ज़्यादा हो ही नहीं सकता in 20 minutes. All right. Now, before we go into a discussion of the content part of it, style of writing. Follow your style of writing. Each of you has a style of writing. Just remember, slangs not allowed, abbreviations not allowed. Abbreviations as in the kind of acronyms you use, right? Bro and lol and things like that. Tech industry, okay? Those kind of things. Tech, somewhere they will understand, but generally we tell you to write full sentences, not like be for you, okay? Simple sentences. Don't try to write very long ones. Don't try to philosophize. Don't start the essay with one of those very general statements, which all of you tend to do, by the way. Because when I remember I would correct essays sometimes, if you ask, generally the point is this good or bad, kind of, if we give you topics like that, like capital punishment, okay? Should India ban capital punishment? Or has science worked in favor of mankind or worked against development generally? Because what science has done is, with the advance of science, it has destroyed the planet. They ask, most of you would say nothing is good and bad by itself. It depends on you how you use it. Really true, but or movies or television has harmed society more. No, it's not. Or ads are harmful, and everyone comes up with this very philosophical statement saying nothing is good and bad by itself. It is the person who uses it. And somebody gave an example of a knife can be used to kill a person, can be used to cut fruits. True. Don't give that. Okay, start directly, because there's very little time and you need to make good points with examples. Use simple sentences, but do vary your sentence structure. Every sentence should not be, I think India should do thing, I think China should do this, China is not a good country, blah blah blah, full stop. 3 sentences, full stop. Then it will sound like, a lathi charge of just sentences. So vary the sentence structure. Keep one slightly longer, one little shorter. The sentence formation should also be a little different, so that it enhances the beauty of your writing. As far as possible, use active voice. I did it instead of this was done by E. India should do this, India has done it, instead of this has been done by India, right? And again, if this is not part of your writing, remember graphic words where your reader can visualize something are better than abstract words. So suppose you're writing something on a personal experience and you talk about going on your bike or scooter, that is better than saying I was going on my vehicle. All right. If you talk, when I came across this ferocious animal, name the animal, that is better. So as far as possible, be more specific, be more graphic in the use of words that you give when you write your essay. So the essay will look more interesting and the reader will be more engaged. Okay, the first rule is relevance, clear and concise, answer the question. Yes, some people will be more expressive than others because of your writing style. That is fine. You can follow your writing style, Pragya, as long as you keep the time in mind. Suppose you're writing your intro and you get really carried away, quote de diya, intro, statistics de diya, and then you realize half your page is over in the intro itself. Then where are your points coming up? So just keep in mind. So basically remember, plan your essay. First is think of what is the topic, right? The topic is about a recession. What am I going to write about it, right? So the first thing is the topic. Then you brainstorm on the topic. How am I going to approach it? Am I going to define a recession, then say, yes, by this standards, we are going into a recession. Some countries are going more into it, some are going to be affected less. Or am I going to go directly and say, no, we're not going into a recession because we are doing this, this, this. So you brainstorm your ideas and put it together. Then actually you start writing, where you say, okay, let me write it here, let me write it like that. Any website where we can get some good essays? Prerna, I don't know, because most of the essays that you see are quite awful. Somebody is given the task to write it and he writes it. One of the things I've done is last year there were some, I don't know if it is still on the app, I had written, but those topics were relevant for last year only. Right, let's write one sample essay today and then you will understand. Most of these essays are not like the academic essays that you write. Try to understand that. In 15-20 minutes, what can you write? So you have to remember your clarity of thought, your logical thinking ability, and your knowledge of the subject is being tested. Develop your own style instead of reading some other essay. The best essay that way, if you want to ask what should I refer to, please read articles, read editorials. Those are the best, what would I say, best sources for your essays. Read it and you will remember it. That's what I have done today. I have chosen points about today's topic, which is of course recession, taking some articles from The Economist, from Forbes India, from 3-4 magazines, and I've quoted the magazine names also. All right. So let's just look at some of the topics that were asked in past years. Last year I have kept it separate. And this is a feedback we get from students. So once you take the exam, please, once you have your essay, WAT and PI session, please, for the benefit, for our benefit and the benefit of students who are going to take it this year, next year, whenever, give us feedback. This is the topic I got. That would help us. IIM should make 1 year. So look at the type of topics you get and then you will not have any fear about the WAT session. IIM should make 1 year of social service compulsory for all students. You all go there, get placed in McKinsey, Boston Consultancy, this and that, and you are doing something. And here they say, no. First, the moment you graduate, 1 year of social service. Good idea. You're giving back to society. बहुत लोगों ने resume में लिखा है, I want to give back to society. Right? For SIBM, okay. Same thing. There is no special preparation required. All essay, the concept, the preparation, the strategy is the same. Right? If you can look up past year papers, so you have an idea, and find out the literature as in how much time was given, and accordingly you can practice. If it's 25 minutes given in a particular institute for the essay writing, then you can practice for 25 minutes, but 20 on an average should be good. 18 to 20 minutes is all you can write, right? So if they give you a topic like this, what should you say, right? How would you go about it? Let me just get some ideas quickly. One sec. What will you do? Should IIMs make 1 year of social service compulsory for all students? What's your take on it? Correct? Yes or no? Correct? 1. Second, why? Third, what kind of social service? And will 1 year really make a difference? हो गया आपका ऐसे खत्म, right? Anything else you can write on it? Anything else you can write on it? Think about it. So the moment you see a topic, you break it down like this. Social service, yes. Compulsory, yes. Compulsory नहीं किया तो कोई नहीं करेगा. All of you will write in your resume, I taught students in a school, I gave tuition to poor students. All that is part of your social service. But everybody should do it for 1 full year, total commitment. Will that work? Will that help? Yes. Why? No. Why not? That's enough. Your essay is done. Or you can say, on the one side, this is the good part of making 1 year social service compulsory. But while theoretically it's okay, practically it's not going to work. Why not? All right, you have this big loan on your head that you want to repay. If I do social service, where am I going to repay the loan? So better than making it compulsory, when I work, I'm going to donate to some cause. Maybe. But that is, can you sustain yourself for a 1 page for 15 minutes saying that? And yes, join some NGO. Yeah, true. All right. Next one, essential services like water and electricity should not be privatized. Okay, so you talk about why or why not. Absolutely. Now, those of you who had joined NSS and all, you talk about from a personal point of view, I was a student of NSS, so I would support social service, but not compulsory, not for 1 year. Some sort of this thing, or maybe yes, it should be made compulsory. It's a good thing. Whatever you feel like. So ideas will come about. Should it be made compulsory? Yes or no? All right. What are the advantages of making it compulsory? What are the disadvantages of making it compulsory? What is the way out? Or yes, it should be made compulsory. What are the benefits and why? Finished. All right. Give us an example on how to write an intro for the first topic. That's what I said. That you can start this directly. That it's a good idea to make students or the youngsters of a country do social service. Every citizen of the country should engage in social service so that he gives back to society. But the whole point is that when a student gets into an IIM, an IIM is an expensive course. A student normally has given up a job for 1 year or 2 years, not 1 year. So you've not just lost your salary for 2 years, also you've spent some 16-20 lakhs. So making social service compulsory for students for 1 year would mean that a student has to spend 1 year earning very little. So most students take loans. So this is not going to be financially viable for a student going to an IIM. If IIMs pay for that 1 year, then the whole point of social service is gone. And can social service be made compulsory? That's another angle. So there's not one example I can give, Sai. Not one perspective I can give. I can give you 3 perspectives. I'll say yes, it should be made compulsory, because a person who can afford to go to an IIM should also give back to society. And therefore, 1 year compulsory social service would make students aware of their duty towards the country, of their duty to people who are less disadvantaged, the less disadvantaged sections of the disadvantaged sections of the community. Having said that, it is not practical. And why is it not practical? All right. Joining a non-profit organization, some of your friends have pointed out, makes. So here he has not mentioned what kind of social service. So no, joining a non-profit organization makes sense. And what you can do. So, and social service is something that should come voluntarily. Therefore, okay. So, essential services like water and electricity. Now, this is another very good one. An MBA can showcase his managerial skills better in a family managed business rather than in professionally run organizations. Loaded topic. Do you think so? Why and how? This was, I'm sure this looks like an IIM Lucknow topic. History is always the story of the victor, not the vanquished. Absolutely. All the books that you read, the history books, were written by the person who survived the war, was written by the person who had the power. All the biographies you have read of Akbar or Jahangir or Humayun were written by courtiers in the court of these kings, these emperors. And they had to every day show what was being written. So a person in power, a person who is victorious, changes, writes, which is why after a war, everybody, the difference, like you say, the rebellions, freedom, wars for freedom are called rebellions, right? Sepoy Mutiny, and we call it the first war of independence. So there are lots of examples. And you write about that. All right. So let's now start with your request. One of the topics asked last year or year before last, is traditions are obstacles to progress. How would you write an outline for this? Do you agree with the outline I have given? Do you agree with the outlines I have given? Now remember, what are traditions? You have to give your definition of tradition. Right? You don't have to say Mr. A said this, Mr. B, Abraham Lincoln said it. Because traditions, basically you know what it is. Customs practiced for a long time, which are almost taken as rules, right? In a community. Right? So that is what are traditions. Are they really obstacles to progress? You can say yes or no. And then if you say they are, this is the definition, I think they are an obstacle to progress, then you have to obviously justify how they are an obstacle to progress. Right? If you say no, they are not, they actually help you in your progress, then you tell us why, how they help in the progress rather than being obstacles to progress. Now, if you've said yes, you'll say not all traditions are obstacles to progress. Certain kinds of traditions are obstacles to progress. Then what kind of traditions are obstacles to progress? That's it. Something you believe in, follow for a long time, specific to a family, so traditions are not there are traditions followed in religion. They're religious traditions, they're community traditions, they're family traditions, right? They're traditions followed by institutions. There are traditions followed by generations. Your generation believes birthdays means beat up the birthday boy. Birthday bump it seems. Usko maar ke, koot ke, beautiful cake, finish all the icing on the birthday boy's face. What kind of tradition is that? But that's the tradition. All right. Can we have a neutral stand against picking a side? Yes. Sai, the question is this. It's an essay. Right? It's not a debate. In a debate, you take sides. Having said that, you are giving a neutral stand. Okay? You are saying that there are two sides to the role of traditions in progress. Certain traditions, certain ways, they help progress. And you enumerate in your first and second part how traditions actually support progress, not hamper. Paragraph 3 and 4, you will say, on the other hand, there are certain traditions which go against progress. All right. Final word, Sai, is clarity and coherence. And I look at my topic and I'll say, what did Sai say finally? Did he say they are an obstacle to progress or not? So after you give all perspectives, you say, by and large, have they worked against the progress of a country? Or have they worked of a community, of a state, of a family, or have they gone against it? Somewhere you have to give your own opinion after giving a balanced perspective. That makes your essay clearer. You know, in a classroom, when I have been teaching WAT from the time WAT has been introduced in CAT, in a classroom, I would get, cutouts from newspapers. Times of India, Saturdays or Sundays, has this column which asks a question. Okay, let's say traditions are an obstacle to progress. They'll have one gentleman say, yes, it is, and then give his views. They'll have another person say, no, they are not. And then you have a person who gives a balanced view. If you read those articles, you often find the balanced view person has to really, give more examples, more viewpoints, because he's trying to look at both and say, having said this, this is better than that, but in this case, this is not better than that. It will take you longer to understand his logic. So I always tell students, when you're given 15 to 20 minutes, balanced perspective is fine, but make sure you express a view at the end. Even in a GD, in a GD also, you're supposed to give different perspectives. It's only the example that my mentor, Father McGrath, would give is, a GD is like a football match. All of you are members of the same team. So your objective is to make sure that the ball gets into, you score a goal. But GD में क्या होता है? Everybody speaks, I don't agree, so finally we don't come to any sort of consensus, right? But when a GD is given as part of a selection or elimination round, you have to make sure that people understand you have a view on it and you express it properly and in a coherent manner. That is why balanced perspective, neutral stand is fine, provided you clearly mention that neutral stand. That clarity has to come out. In a statement, you say there are two sides to a topic. By and large, they are perceived as obstacles to progress, though in many cases they have helped progress. And then you can give examples. That clarity has to be there. Hello, Amit. Understood? So these are some of the points you will mention. Is that clear? Somebody wanted me to give an outline. Outline is there. Are you happy with it? If you get a topic like this, you can immediately think. You need not even write this. So when you are given a piece of paper, if like, I don't think it will be online, but if they ask you to type it into a system, you will get a rough scrap of paper where you can write an outline. But as I said, most of the time, if you are given a piece of paper, you can write your outline on one side of the paper. All right. You can jot down points, you can jot down one or two examples and then start. Clear? Any questions? Any questions? No? All right. What would you write in the introduction for this topic? Like I said, the introduction can be a hook, right, to get our interest. And you can start with a question. Okay, it should be a rhetorical question. What's a rhetorical question? You ask the question and you answer it also. Do you know what enabled Sachin Tendulkar to become such a great cricketer? And my favorite example, while other cricketers did not even face half the success, right? What made him so successful? It was family support. So I've given the question, I've given the answer. You can start with a quotation. Remember that quotation should be short, not cliched. All right, it should not take up half of the paper, and it should be accurate. Don't give some quotation. I thought this is what it is. All right. Or you can start with statistics. Startling statistics is even better. Contrary to expectation, this is not happening, that is happening. Any statistics. All right. Or you can start with an anecdote, personal anecdote. Again, very high risk, high reward starting. You can give a short story, very short story, brief one. There was some essay, I remember, I had quoted it also, about one person said he and his friend, he was talking about trust. And he said they were going on how trust is good provided the other person is trustworthy, otherwise it's foolish when you trust an untrustworthy person. Something in that context. So he said we were going in a boat and which had sprung a leak. And so his friend was looking scared, and I said, I know you are anxious because you do not know swimming and this boat has a leak in it. And then he told his friend, don't worry, neither do I. Okay, and then he started talking about, planning and other things. So you can start with an anecdote, but a really short one. Yeah, one more session on WAT, and then I'll take one session on AWT. For students who got a call from IIM Ahmedabad. All right. Or you can start directly by just introducing the topic and giving your stand on it. Positive, negative, neutral, for, against, neutral, whatever. Most of the time, nothing comes to you. Sometimes you do. Sometimes you're very lucky. A quotation comes to mind and you give it. Or you remember some piece of statistics, you give it. But most of the time when you're worried, and remember this essay thing happens before the PI. most of you are still, in that state of tension, nothing will strike you, then just start directly. There's no harm in it. In fact, start directly, give a few points, make it a free flowing essay instead of a in bullet points essay. Okay, most of you are in the habit of giving essays as bullet points. Don't do that. All right. Impact of social media on individuals and on the society. What would you write in the introduction? Don't give me full sentences, just what immediately. So first think in terms of plan. What is the essay asking? Easy, not a complicated thing. All right, so quickly brainstorm in terms of, am I going to write as for and against, or am I going to write in terms of perspectives? Political, social, economic, you can take that, or you can talk in terms of impact on economy, impact on education, impact on the information sector. How are you going to introduce it on this topic? Impact of social media on individuals and on the society. Just quickly type in what would you mention. Would you first of all, would you make it a for and against, or would you make it as, social, political, economic perspectives, different angles? Which is a better way for you? There is no better way. Which one works for you? No answers. Quickly, let me see some answers before I move on. Intro about social media, and I will go against social. So you will say that social media has impacted individuals and society adversely, Aditya, and then you will say how it has affected individuals negatively and how it has affected society negatively with some examples. Good. So in the introduction, you'll talk about social media and you'll say that its impact has been largely negative, right? That would be your introduction. Then you will talk about how. So remember, there are three parts to it, right? Social media, individual impact, society impact. There itself you have three paragraphs. So Aditya said he's going to talk about social media and he's going to say that the impact has been negative. That's your introduction. That's his introduction. Then he'll write on how it has impacted individuals, largely negative, and how its impact on society has been negative. So his conclusion is done. Anisha says she will talk about social, economic, political, different ways, impact on individuals and society from different perspectives. Okay, you can go with both pros and cons. Yes, Pragya, its impact has been both negative and positive. These are the negative impacts. However, these are the positive impacts. Overall, what has it been? If you can give, that's even better. Of course, you can give. Both sides you can give. Aditya said I'll go against it, but that doesn't mean you have to only go against it or for it. You can give a balanced perspective. We'll start off with what was intended, what was the purpose of social media, for people to connect with each other, and it has become a monster, a vehicle of misinformation. Absolutely, Amrit. So think of the introduction, therefore, that the purpose for which it was created was different and the purpose it is serving now is different. So its impact has been initially positive, but it has grown more and more negative or disadvantageous. Negative. All right. The basic idea behind social media is to connect people. Oh, absolutely. So Anisha and Amrit would probably do the same thing. So now you have this. This is what you're going to write, your introduction, and this has also given me an idea of what you're going to write. Right? Okay. Okay. Now, intro ho gaya, aapne outline bhi de diya. Fantastic. Next topic. Remember, this was actually a GD topic, which later the corruption has been given in different avatars in the WAT session and GD topics earlier. Corruption is the root cause of the social and economic woes in India. So Pragya, that's a good thing, because so if you are lucky, you will get some. So social media and its impact has been a topic in at least every day. Like there will be, like, let's say six or eight panels, right? Groups of students in a day that are called, and at least one of the groups gets social media as a topic. So, but we don't know if it will come for you. So corruption again is a common topic. Now look at this and read. I told you relevance, language, content and presentation, right? We are looking at it. Relevance means you have to look at the words in the topic. Corruption is the root cause of social and economic woes in India. What is your view on it? Is it the root cause? What are you going to say about it? How are you going to write? What are the key points? So quickly tell me in my intro, this is what I'm going to say. My three key points will be this. Okay, so you can say that India right now is facing a lot of problems, social and economic problems that India is facing. And then you will tie it up that, do you know, at the basis of all this is this one thing called corruption. Therefore, yes, so you putting that. Okay. Root cause, one of the causes. That the stand you have to take. Is it the root cause of all our problems, or is it one of the causes of all our problems? Right? That is how you balance your essay. I mean, that is how you think. Do I think that is the root cause? Yes. Can I justify it? Or would I say it's one of the 3-4 main causes? And then you justify it. Excellent. Excellent. Good. Any other answers? Oh, good points, Mridul. Good points. This is for the earlier topic, social media. Good points. All right. What would be your conclusion for this topic? For the corruption wala topic. Those of you who have not given me intro and main points also, corruption pe likh liya aapne. Now, when you see the timer, when you see you are coming to end of time for your essay with 1 minute or even with 2 minutes remaining, an essay with a conclusion has a very well-rounded look, and we want the essay to be tied up well. Therefore, what will you say would be a final sentence which the examiner is going to glance at your essay for 1 minute max. Okay, first he's going to look at it. First glance, if I were, so I used to coach students before, pre-pandemic days. I actually used to take home this many sheets of paper and correct essays. Oh my God, it was painful. But the key here was, nobody is going to read it word by word. Okay, so suppose it's out of 10 marks, your essay, right? Am I right? Your key is to score an 8 or more. If it's a lenient examiner like me, okay, I would start with 5 as my basis, but let's say the CAT question setter starts with 3. All right. So you read it once and you say relevant. This person had spoken about social and economic woes and has now tied it up and said how corruption is the root cause. Language has no major errors, has given examples. That itself is enough for me to say this is a 5+ essay. After that, I read it quickly a second time to find faults or to say isko 6 dein ya 7 dein. That's how I would mark. So your key is that first impression that you make, okay, has to be good. Why is this not working? All right, no, this is not working. Okay, and the key is to aim for a 8 or a 9, because that half mark, that 1 mark is and the all important mark. Don't try to, oh sorry, escape. Yeah, don't try too hard, then you end up falling flat on your face. Just write whatever thoughts come to your mind in the best possible manner, then you will do well. All right. Suggested solution oriented conclusion, absolutely excellent, excellent. You can end up and you can tie up the essay by giving suggestions. Very good. Something that's a part of our country, but still we have seen a reduction in it to have a better future. Very good. It's a very positive way of looking at it. Okay. All right. Now I want you to time yourself so after this session is over, right? When you are, let's say, preparing for PI, think every time you're preparing for PI, you've had your one-on-one or your mentoring sessions with Srinivas and Gautam. Sit down, time yourself for 20 minutes before the session. Think of one topic that you find most difficult to write. When you see the list of topics, for most topics, say intro में ये लिखूंगा, outline ये है, these are the 3 points, and I'll end like this. The topic that you find most difficult to write it down. Put pen to paper and start writing it down, and see how you fare in 20 minutes. Got it? Now, one of the points that students, now this is an evergreen topic, I have given it to almost every batch of students I have taught. How would you write on this topic? See, of all the IIMs, Lucknow gives most, not exactly abstract. Lucknow had given that topic, right? 1% of the world is leaders and 99% of the population is followers of the fairer sex. ऐसे सब questions देते हैं. And students would be, okay, if it is not worth dying for, it is not worth living for. So, you don't know what they ask. So, if you get a topic like this, it's not exactly an abstract topic. Abstract topics are like those, last drop of energy. Okay, those kind of things are the abstract. The 12th, the 13th hour. All right. White poison. Generally, mercifully, they don't ask it in essays, but in essays they can give you a slightly indirect topic, difficult to understand. At that time, look at the topic and read it in 2-3 different ways. So what is the topic asking me? This: if animals could talk, what would happen? Right? Or the topic is assuming animals don't talk. I could take that stand. Right? So how would you outline this topic? If animals could talk. Most students find this difficult to write about, to think of it, but what would you write about this? I'll tell you some of the best essays I have read on this topic. And bring up the non-bullying issues. And bullying animals issues, yes. Thank you, Arpit. Write about, yeah, but Pragya, how would you tie it up to that? Right? How would you tie? I said make your outline. So, ek outline de do. First, I would say what. Second, I would say what. Third, I would say what. Just give me bullet points. First, second, third, what would you give? The idea is correct. Bullying animals, Mr. And remember, this is the Jallikattu season, right? Where bull racing and all that is happening. A lot of people take a negative attitude to it. Ask anybody from Tamil Nadu, they'll say it's part of the culture. What's wrong with it? Right? So there are 2 ways. What would you write? Animals express their agony the consumption of meat, there might be a conflict between humans and animals. Perfect. All right. Okay. So it would be a different world altogether. If animals could talk, it would be a different world. What would be the different world? There would be human versus animal conflict, maybe, right? And then you talk about probably vegetarianism would prevail, maybe, and something, correct? And somebody else would say the world would turn into a Disneyland or a Disney Channel if animals could talk. The best essay I read was a student who said, who said animals can't talk? They talk. We don't understand what they say. Okay, they don't talk the human language, doesn't mean they don't talk. Okay, but yes, if they could talk our language, then I think we can't even walk, because the moment you walk, the ant would say, or a small animal would say, hey, what are you doing? We couldn't have any secrets, because the dog or the cat in the room would tell what was being spoken in the house, what discussion was going on. Somebody else would say the world would be such a better place because human beings would shut up. Different things you can do. But yes, the key here is you can tie it up to something more serious like vegetarianism, and you can make it a moral issue about meat eating and vegetarianism. All right, excellent. All right. This is the rule to keep in mind. Good essays happen with practice. Keep writing. That's not my final word. These are the topics, suggested topics for 2023. Ukraine war, small causes, big consequences. Now what I have done is I have chosen the topics from articles that I have Googled. I mean, I knew that I wanted a topic on the Ukraine war, but I wanted a topic which would cover a lot of aspects of the Ukraine war. So the students, you would write a well-rounded essay, need not be 250 words only. You'll write everything in bullet points in your outline, and finally write the essay in 20 minutes on the Ukraine war. But make sure you know all the important points related to the war. What are the causes? If you remember, ZAT mein pucha hai na, which one was not a cause of the Ukraine war? GK mein. This time I've done the best in GK so far in so many years of ZAT. A lot of questions that I could answer. But here, again, I'm not sure if it is the first one. It's refusal to sell wheat, because it did. The refusal happened after the war started, so I marked that as my answer. So if this was the topic given to you, you have to mention the causes, you have to mention the consequences, but what are you going to write on it? So basically I want you to read a few articles and summarize the main points in your own words so that you know all aspects of the human world. All right. If animals could talk, some would express the okay, Anisha, my dog, I don't have a dog, my neighbor's dogs. My mother-in-law is terrified of dogs, so I can't keep a dog in the house, but I love dogs. I think they talk to me all the time. Yeah, their eyes talk, their overall, the tail talks. All right. So when you're thinking of Ukraine war, guys, there are three things you need to write. One is, what do you think were the main causes of the Ukraine war, right? What do you think are the consequences? Consequences to sabko pata hai, energy crisis, we almost went to the brink of the Third World War. Now here you talk about why is it so long drawn out and what is the way to end the war, because it's become an issue of face saving for Russia. So what should be done? What is the best diplomatic way out of it? Yes, Ukraine's NATO bid, NATO's expansion into Eastern European countries. Russia warned it and NATO said, what we're going to do? And then they kind of pushed him, right? So that's one of the ways of looking at it. So causes, consequences. As a consequence, what happened is that you have here a madman leading Russia. It almost came to the brink of nuclear war, energy crisis just before winter, and the biggest what was not expected is renewables. We've gone back to fossil fuels one side. Many people have started, Germany and all are trying to come up with use of coal again, all those thermal power plants which were shut down, use of, and on the other hand, countries are now trying to decrease their dependence on Russian oil, and therefore it has given a boost to renewable energy. Oil prices have shot up, all those things. So put it into bullets. Here you don't have to write this essay. This of course we'll write today. Can we sustain the momentum of the startup boom? Now, startup is a subject that's, when you give a very easy subject that everybody seems to be discussing all the time, you end up making a disaster of that essay. So I want you to think logically on startup boom, how it happened, what is needed to keep this momentum going. Are those things in place to keep the momentum going? All right. Yes, true. So write all that, the refugee crisis, other countries now being very nervous that if they join or even say they're going to join NATO, Russia will attack, but at the same time, if they actually join NATO, they will be protected. The problem is Ukraine has not yet become a member of NATO. If it had, then the consequences might have been different, right? So, a startup boom, all of you know a lot about it, but make sure you crunch it in terms of coherent points. Okay, what caused the conditions that led to the startup boom? Second, is it sustainable, or what are the flaws in the boom that it may not sustain or will not sustain, and what should be done? Can be sustained. What should be done to sustain it? Those are the three areas you should be looking at. Maybe you can write on this, right? Then another topic which is again part of either the essay or in your PI that they ask is the most important thing in international relations from an Indian perspective. India-China relations. You have the Chinese build up in the northeast, you have China doing building a dam across Brahmaputra, and you have China doing all kinds of things. So where are our relations headed? Is India doing the right thing, or India is being foolish where China is concerned? Read the Hindu, you'll get one perspective. Read the Times of India, you'll get another perspective, but at least get some points in place so that you can write about that if you are asked something about the India-China relations. All right. I will discuss this topic in the next session. All right. Challenges and priorities of the Union Budget 2023. We'll discuss it in the next session, because those of you who have your interviews before the budget, you will be asked about, if you were the foreign minister, finance minister of India, what would be your areas of priority in the budget? Okay, what are the challenges for the union budget? There will definitely be a question on it, either in the interview or in WAT. So that is something we'll discuss in the next session. All right, you come up with your thoughts on it, read up articles on it, but we will discuss it in detail next time. Ethics and business, this is an evergreen topic. Okay, it's like Sachin Tendulkar, forever popular. Then, okay, what would you write on this topic? Quickly, your views on this. Yes, China cannot be trusted. That's all. Nehru dhoka khaya, US dhoka khaya, everybody gets, it's one country that you cannot trust. Job flexibility and job security cannot coexist. That's another topic I want you to write about, but throw me a few ideas if you can. That's again another topic where I got some ridiculous essays from students. I've repeated this topic with quite a few batches of students. Outline and what would you prefer, or what are some of the examples you will give. All right. Then reservation for economically weaker sections. Lot can be said about it. I have put it in the form of it is a correct thing, it is a step in the right direction. So you can take a stand, you can give a balanced perspective, it's up to you. All right, but definitely another topic that you can expect, EWS, election, appointment of judges, that would be another one. In the recent controversy, there could definitely be one on the role of the governor in a state because of what's happening in Tamil Nadu, where the governor has his views not getting along with the local government. So, what is the role of the government? Yes. First, explain in very general terms what do you mean by job security and what do you mean by flexibility. Flexibility in terms of roles and functions, flexibility in terms of time, what are you talking about flexibility, lot of things, and then start talking about are they incompatible, are they compatible, or does it have to do with it's not something, it depends on the level, on the hierarchy, on your position in the hierarchy. Lots of issues, it's not a very easy topic, there are layers to it, so think about it and write a good essay on it. All right, recession a certainty in 2023. One of the things here is how would you define recession? This by itself is the very general definition, but this is the one: two consecutive quarters of negative GDP growth, and that's how people define recession traditionally, though other factors are taken into account. And on this issue, experts are at loggerheads whether that really should, if a negative GDP growth for two consecutive quarters, whether that should be really, that is a sign of recession, or isn't it something more serious than that? All right, now at present, why is it relevant? Why are we calling it recession? This has been explained very well here, that you have high inflation, so the central bank would jack up interest rates so that the inflation is down, then demand goes down, there's a downturn or recession. And so he says this happens generally and has happened before. This is generally, he has seen as the conditions to lead to a recession. Okay, historically these are the conditions that lead to a recession. Do those conditions exist now? And then you can say whether 2023 is going into whether we're facing a recession. A recession is inevitable this year. Why is the topic relevant, if you want to ask? Because of a report that the World Bank has given, which says that there is a looming global recession. It's imminent, it's inevitable. All right. Even the Center for Economics and Business Research has said that high borrowing costs because of inflation, high interest rates, high borrowing costs because of inflation would cause the economies to contract. So what was given in the first thing is the same. These reasons, these conditions are there, therefore we are going in for a recession. Also, this is part of what the World Bank has quoted: weaker growth in all of the world's top economies, US, Europe and China. Okay, now you bring in perspectives that they don't agree, because it's not going to happen in the US, they are saying, because the job market is pretty good. Okay, this part says what are the problems US is facing. Okay, high prices, expensive borrowing rates, and problems due to supply chain disruptions. But the US has, the job market is doing well in the US and it is not likely to go into recession. That is there in another point. Okay, Europe is not sitting pretty. Europe definitely is going into a recession. There is no argument about this. Not necessarily, Pragya, if you don't know some facts, it is not necessarily a big negative, because they don't expect you to have all facts at your fingertips. But this is one topic that you should read up so that you would know a little about it. Okay, so for, like I said, the main thing is in 1 minute, how much can you impress the examiner. He's going to read your essay for a minute, minute and a half maximum, or 2 minutes also, not more than that. So in that time, the clarity, coherence is there. Even if it's 2 or 3 points, actually 2 or 3 points is better than 15 points which are not organized well. But yeah, obviously, if you write something where I know you've read about it and you're giving me facts, obviously the impression would be better, right? So Europe is in trouble because one, it's a major exporter to China and China's economy is doing weak. Second, what are the other problems? That rising interest rates, how other countries are being affected. This was from The Economist, the article which said that the rising interest rates will attract investment capital from poorer countries and they will therefore get affected. Having said that, Economist says that America's economy is strong, okay, stronger than China's or Europe's. Even if the increase in interest rate might tip the country into recession, but their job market is strong, their savings are strong. Therefore, if America faces a recession, it's going to face a very mild one. Now, PS also goes with the same view. What does it say? That China's growth rate may be lower than historically it has done very well. So because of the pandemic and all, it may be lower, but its GDP is unlikely to contract for 2 quarters. And even if it does, that is not because of the earlier high numbers. It is not enough to make its economy shrink. So it is questioning this very definition of recession as negative GDP growth for 2 quarters. He says that calculation itself is flawed. So China and India are not going to be affected by the recession. Europe is going to be affected. US is going to be affected mildly. This is the general idea. There's another one which says that most of these problems are self-inflicted. So with a little bit of adjustment here and there, jugaad here and there, the country's economies would do well. And then he talks about Europe increased dependence on natural gas, so it became vulnerable, totally dependent on Russia. China's COVID, it mismanaged its entire COVID thing, which is why it has problems. All right. And then he says, this is the conclusion for me was the best conclusion I read from my the articles I read is, even if you adopt that 2 quarters negative GDP growth, even if you take less stricter measures of defining global recession, then also GDP growth below 2.5% is unlikely. Okay, so a 2023 global recession is not a foregone conclusion. It's not inevitable. It's possible, but it's avoidable. It's avoidable if countries take a few measures, and it's avoidable in many of the countries, like in India and all. It's not going to affect that much. Then our own Niti Aayog person have quoted him. Which are the countries which are not going to be affected at all? The Gulf economies, India, and emerging economies will not be affected by this recession as much as they have been affected by earlier ones. All right, and this is what former Niti Aayog Planning Commission Vice Chairman said, that our growth will still be 6 to 7% in the next year, 2023-24. US, Europe, Japan, also in China, that will happen, but for us, that's not going to happen. Okay, we'll still manage 6 to 7%. Those numbers, if you can give, then you're done. So look up this and make your own case for whether 2023 recession is inevitable. Just write a short essay on it so that you have all the main points at your fingertips. The final word in 3 or 4 articles, if you read it, one is Project Syndicate, one is The Economist. These two had nice big articles, simple articles, not too many of those bell curves and all. That the US is not likely to go into recession, Europe will, India and China are not likely to go into recession. This was the final word in 2 or 3 of the major articles I read. All right. So what is finally summing up our VAT thing is, in your conclusion, sum up the main points of your essay in your own words. Make sure you do that with even 1 minute remaining. Make sure you just write a concluding statement. I have often read essays and found essays where you just let your pen drag like that to tell the examiner ki yaar main likh raha tha, the paper was snatched away, still isn't half as impressive as an essay which has a nice conclusion where you said, okay, this happened, and finally these are my final words on this topic. That would somehow make that essay look complete. All right, make sure you write a few essays. Do that. It will help you answer better for your PI also. See, when they ask you certain current affairs questions, they will ask you. Let's say they ask you about recession, inflation, budget. If you've written it earlier in an essay, you'll remember the points better. And also, writing doesn't happen. You people now don't write at all. Alright, so when the first time you start writing, beyond LOL and ROFL, you can't write. So please get into the habit of writing for 15-20 minutes. Okay, and the timing of your interviews, the same way that you prepared for CAT. I have my interview at 12, between 12 to 4 I have been called. So make sure that 12 to 4 is your best time of the day. Alright. Yes, Moksh, one more session on the 19th where we'll discuss some more topics. So basically I've given you one of the ways of writing the essay. We'll again sum it up. Okay, these are the things that we learned, and then we'll look at other topics. Alright, any questions for me? I will also do AWT, the argument evaluation session that IMA asks on the 24th. Okay, where it's slightly different from, right now you are building an argument. In WAT, you are building an argument. You are expressing your views on a topic. In AWT, views are already given. You have to evaluate those views as logical or not, and things like that. That is the difference. Okay, so anyone for CAT 2023, you or your friends, we have a fantastic course on it. Srinivas on 14th, 8 p.m. will tell you how to manage CAT preparation with jobs or studies. Easy. All students, whenever I used to tell students earlier, somebody who says, I have resigned, I have decided to prepare for CAT for 1 year, I tell him, don't do that, because you can't study 24 hours a day. Second, by doing that, you're actually putting a lot of pressure on yourself. So he will definitely, so that kind of unwanted pressure you don't want. Anyway, CAT you have a lot of pressure on you. So do what you have, take time off, weekends, time off before the exam. That would be my suggestion. All India Open Mock for CMAT happening on 21st January. Make sure you take it, register for it. And of course, subscribe, follow, like, join our group, and do like this session if you enjoyed it. Next session will be on the 19th. I'll get some more topics. We'll discuss some more intros, outlines, okay, and talk about other things, okay, other approaches to essay writing. But basically, my approach is this. I'll give you a few more shortcuts if nothing works kind of thing. All right, any questions? The best the best way to prepare for your PI session is not to get stressed out. So I'm sure Srinivas and Gautam have talked to you about it. So for the VAT part of it, just read editorials, articles, magazines. Whatever you read, try to put down your points in your own words in a paragraph. That will help you write also and remember the points. All right. Okay. No questions for me. All right. I will see you again very soon. Till then, all the best. Prepare well and answer questions coolly, calmly, and write your essays well. Bye-bye. Yeah. Take care.